Tricia, let's see, you want to know if anyone works with seller financing properties? What exactly did you, were you asking there? Are you,
All right, yes. The anyone that has listings that they are doing rent to own with the seller financing.
okay, well, rent to own and seller financing are two different things.
Well, yes, they are. So
Mhm.
purchase option, that's what it is. Option
Okay,
to buy.
that's another thing that's separate.
Hmm.
Lease options is not owner financing either. That
Exactly.
those are different things. Yeah.
Yes, sir. But that is what I'm speaking about. Owner option listings.
Are you talking about like a realtor that does those specifically, or what exactly are you looking
Either are wholesaler or realtor. It's not.
Okay, because there's a lot of different ways to do it. I know, we do our owner financing a little different than everybody, well, actually a lot different than most people do.
Hmm.
Rent to own, you hear a lot of. I'll tell you, when I list a property for sale, if somebody even mentions, I got one right now, and somebody even mentions that, I know it's not for me
Hmm.
because and it's a mentality is what it is. And the
Hmm.
same thing with the lease option. The problem that, I always have problems with lease options. 97% of them don't go
Mm.
through, first of all. But a problem with a lease option is actually there's two problems. First of all, it's a lease, so it's a time period.
Yes.
Second is it's an option. And my experience is the first time they have to do a major repair or something, they exercise their option of not buying the property. And then
Mm.
I've had a lot of situations where it actually turns out to be worse than the renter. I'd rather have a
A
tenant
renter.
situation. Yeah, almost actually every time.
Oh, wow.
I've
Hmm.
done a lot of them over the years, and they just don't. Many, many, many years ago, I worked for a rent-to-own company that did furniture and TVs, and back in the day, VCRs and all that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
And it was, it's a mentality, is what it is, and there's nothing
Hmm.
wrong with it. It's just what it is. And rent-to-own houses, I seen one recently down here in Park Hills that somebody I know did, and he showed pictures of it, and it was worse than any renter I've ever seen leave the house.
Oh my gosh.
And that's it's a mentality. That's what and that's my words, not anybody else's. I'm saying that because that's what it is. And a lease option the same way. I know I wrote
Mm.
one of my books about when I lost like 25,000 bucks on a lease option. I would
Ooh.
never do that again. I just won't do it. There's a lot of people, they talk about it too. There's a lot of people that teach lease options. Yeah, you're going to get this non-refundable fee,
Hmm.
this lease option fee. Yeah, that may be true, but it may cost you a lot more than that to fix your property up, and it may cost you more than that to get them out of there. I mean, that's all. That's just considerations you need to think about. I want what I want. I'd rather have less money down and have a happy homeowner.
Hmm.
I mean, that's what I deal with is we want happy homeowners. We've got houses we haven't seen in
What the
years,
heck?
and we get a lot more money for them than we would have on a retail basis, just the way we do it.
Okay. Okay. Thanks for that.
So, but it's just different. If anybody wants to chime in and say anything, feel free to do so. Because I know a lot of people use those strategies and they work for them. I mean, there's no right or wrong on it when it comes to anything like that. It's just I can just tell you what's worked for us and what works for me.
You say lease option, you mean you rent it to the person with the option to buy it?
Yeah, typically the way lease options usually work, Yolanda, is it'll be a term like you'll give me an amount of money, say $10,000, that's non-refundable. It will go towards the purchase price. We'll have maybe a 2 or 3 year contract, 5 year, whatever it is. And then at the end
Yeah,
of that term, I give you the option to buy it at whatever amount we set the price on today. Okay.
right.
And sometimes that amount will apply that you pay every month. Sometimes it won't. You're better off if you don't, from a seller standpoint, you're better off if you don't have the money every month. You just treat it like rent because if you give them partial credits, that can be another stickler if it comes down to a bad situation and you have to get rid of the people. Okay. I've seen a lot
Yeah,
of people have a problem with that too, because then you have a hard time kicking them out because they have an equity position in the house. So your paperwork and your disclosures make a huge difference when you set all them up.
yeah. I have something similar, and the other bad part about that is if they don't pay or they leave, then you're stuck with the property. And you might not want that, which was my case. It was in an area I did not want to have. I was trying to help this young lady out. She wanted to open up a daycare. Everything went great for 6 months. And then on the seventh month, everything went downhill. She left. I got stuck with the property. I hated that property. I finally got rid of it like 2 years ago, but I hated it.
Yeah, that can be a tough situation. I totally,
Yeah.
I know where you're coming from. I've been in similar situations. That's why we just don't do it.